What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Geek Mense Shoot the Shit. I am here with Clyde Beach once more. He's also been working on some stuff, so he's gonna be drawing and everything. So don't mind that. But yeah, let's get it cracking, man. We're gonna be doing. Yeah, what are you drawing though? Like, I'm super psyched.
I'm doing a commission. Naruto cross Hellboy,
Oh,
Jiraiya. Everyone's in kabuki masks.
yeah.
Still in
That's
progress. I did a I did a digital mock-up. So it's gonna be something like that.
ooh. The colors on that are so beautiful.
We'll see what it looks like when it's done. If my Copic markers can hold up.
Oh yeah, you can't be going to the stores now because there might not be any stores to go to. Oh wait, you're in Cape Town, so never mind.
Yo, it's nuts in Cape Town. Taxi gang wars are off the chain. People are getting killed on the street.
Yikes. Anyway, back to more positive news. Did you manage to catch the episode of Loki, episode 5?
Do we speak about 4?
Yeah, we did 3 and 4. 5 just dropped.
Yeah. No. Check that out with Throg and Alligator Loki, boastful Loki, showing their President Loki.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you see the Thanos? Did you see the Thanos copter?
Oh, of
Like I didn't
course,
expect to see
of course.
that.
Throwbacks. I literally thought that at one point where with classic Thor,
Yeah,
classic Loki. When he
yeah,
was telling his backstory, he literally like hinted at fan theories from Ragnarok when
yeah.
because everyone was surmising that it was just a hologram that Thanos killed, and everyone was debating, or that was sort of like headcanon that Loki escaped and he disguised himself as rubble, and that's literally classic Loki story.
The thing is though, do you think Tom Hiddleston is done being Loki? Like, do you think after this he's not Loki anymore?
No. I think he's got a pretty long career as Loki. He might change um his personality or character of Loki. Loki might be more of a good guy with that trickster sort of streak. But I think they need to sort of root out the old in order to bring in the new. If you're thinking about like phase 4 style stuff. People.
Because I mean,
Yep.
oh sorry,
We're
go
gonna
ahead.
get us as fans get too fixated on our past characters, and we won't be able to look at new characters or embrace new characters as well. So they need to sort of phase out the older characters, the classic characters, to bring in new characters. Doesn't mean they'll be gone forever. They might be, they might take roles similar to how Nick Fury. He comes in here and there, but he's not ever a main character. He sort of just drives the plot.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what we're gonna be looking at. Oh my gosh, my thing was not recording. Do I still sound good?
No, you sound good. You sound good.
Okay, sorry everybody. Yeah, we just had a lot of technical issues. So hopefully it's sounding better on his side this time round. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. Yeah,
I
because Thor is still there. Thor
Yeah,
is still there. We're getting Thor number 4.
yeah. Thor's
And I mean, I don't know if they're gonna root that out because also Chris Hemsworth might not be done with Thor. Because the thing is, with Captain America and with Iron Man, like those actors said, I'm cool now. Like that's the
yeah.
reason why those endings happen. Like if Robert Downey Jr. tomorrow says I want to be Iron Man again, I feel like he's gonna be Iron Man again. Like they're not gonna say no to Robert Downey Jr. coming back.
I think there's a possibility. I think there's roles for cameos and mentor style characters and stuff. Imagine like Robert Downey Jr. Or Tony Stark as Riri Williams as like Ironheart's heads up display. Similar to when he becomes
Oh, like a Jarvis.
yeah, when he becomes back as a Jarvis or a Friday or something like that. Or he's
That
a sentient consciousness inside of a suit, like one of the
that
comics
would be cool.
back in the day.
That would be cool.
Because
Yeah.
there was a comic like that where literally like his consciousness piloted a suit, an empty suit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So maybe they'll do that. I mean, yeah, it's just if the actors are not done, I think then they're coming back. Because even the Black Widow, which we're
Yeah,
gonna talk about, like if ScarJo says she wants to come back, I don't think they're gonna say no.
yeah, and I think
But
and
getting
and I think all of this is going to become possible with like multiverse of madness and things like that. These characters
there's
could even
also
have,
that.
these characters could even in the future have once-off stories that doesn't even fall in the canon of the MCU, because it could be an alternate
Mm.
reality retelling of a classic story. Sorry, that's unprofessional. Sorry about that.
No, no worries. I've also got noises in the background going on here. It's a whole symphony.
Yeah. No,
um,
but it's cool. It's like I also think a lot of this is setting up like the Young Avengers. Like Kid,
yeah,
how
yeah,
how
yeah.
cool is Kid Loki? And if Kid Loki makes it into the canonical timeline, he could easily be a dope part of like the Young Avengers or the Kid of the.
Yeah, and I mean that was also shocking what they did with him, where his variant, like the thing that caused the diversion in his timeline was him killing Thor,
So
and now people are like, was it a kid Thor or was it like adult Thor? Because that would make him the strongest Loki if he managed to do that.
to kill Thor as a kid, yeah. But I imagine this is them being. There was an animated show where Thor and Loki were like these kids, and Loki was always up to no good, and Thor was kind of like an airhead. Um, and it could work. Like imagine even that dichotomy. Like you bring young Loki in with old unworthy Thor, and they got this like mentor, little brother, kid brother sort of relationship. This one could be traumatized. Um, he didn't necessarily speak fondly of the fact that he killed Thor. They hint these things with all the Thors and the Lokis in their relationship. Even classic Loki, when he said he hid away on that planet, he got lonely. He missed his brother. You know, you could think
Yeah.
that kid Loki could regret the fact that he killed his brother.
Mm. Yeah, no, old Loki rocks. Old Loki was my favorite Loki.
Yeah, dude,
Jeez, old Loki was my
classic
favorite.
Loki.
Like I didn't even think they could make the costume work, but they did. And then what? And then the way he goes out, man, that was just legend. But like, there's also fan theories that he actually might be like King Loki. Like he might have faked his death, and
Yeah,
he's the one waiting at the castle. That's one that's floating around. The other
some.
one obviously is Kang.
Yeah, I think I think people are becoming fixated on the Kang idea because we know Kang is going to be in Quantumania. Kang is going to be in the
Yeah,
Ant-Man and Wasp movie. Like he's been cast, and we know for sure that's going to happen. So people are hoping threads of that leak through. But I think in a story like this, they wouldn't just throw you a loose bone. They wouldn't just throw something brand new in there if they haven't been setting it up well enough. Um, and while watching this episode, I gained new theories. I keep having theories about this Loki show, and I really enjoy it. But it's almost by not throwing you what do they call it? Misdirection.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
like
yeah,
like
yeah.
misdirections have become cliche, and I was kind of expecting it. But in a lot of times in this show, they kind of misdirect you by not misdirecting you, which is weird.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that. I would definitely say that. Like the fact that they make Sylvie like this, she's supposed to be like this huge threatening monster, only to find out that she's just kind of like a Loki, and then they also say what's her purpose for the TVA, and then you find out like it's just she wants to take it down. Whereas everybody had these theories like she's trying to take over the TVA
Yeah.
or
I'm,
like
I, and
like things like that.
I'm still stuck. Like, there's two things that while watching this new episode, and that's just like my overly conceptual mind, running away with itself. There's two things that I noticed. One, Sylvie's special because Loki literally asked, have you met any other female variants?
Mm,
And Sylvie calls herself Sylvie. But what if the big threat turns out to be the actual Lady Loki? Like an actual Loki. So not a Sylvie, not a Loki that's chosen, like the dark-haired classic Lady Loki from the comic
yeah,
books. What if it's another female variant who was smart enough to do that? My other theory is like you said, you mentioned King Loki, and I almost
yeah,
think,
because doesn't he become like Loki the Butcher? Doesn't he become like Loki the Butcher or something like that?
yeah,
And he kills like
he takes over the
yeah, something like that.
something like I actually uh, don't remember exactly, but where the King Loki theory comes in is the fact that if we notice different variants, they wear various costumes. But
Yeah.
notice what's missing from this Loki show is Loki in the classic MCU costume.
Mm,
We haven't actually seen a Loki in that sort of. We saw him in the beginning when he landed in the desert, but as soon as he goes to the
yeah.
TVA, he kind of just wears this jacket and shirt and tie. He looks like an office worker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So technically, the Loki we're following is
Yeah.
like office worker Loki. What if there's another Loki
Mm.
that's our classic or looks is a variant that's closer to the classic Loki that we know? Because it dawned on me when we
Oh, so,
saw when we saw all these variants. There was a Loki, there was Throg, which is obviously the Frog Thor. Um, you mentioned the Thanos copter, the helicarrier that was there. Um, all those Easter egg things. Um, but
they
we
even
didn't
had the
see.
Living Tribunal head.
Yes, the Living
They even had
Tribunal's
the
head
Living
was there as
Tribunal head.
well. And what's his
Yeah.
name? Oh, I think it was like a giant yellow jacket helmet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was there too. Yeah, that was confirmed.
Yeah. So it's like, but yeah. So that's what stood out at me. Like President Loki looked more like classic Loki to me, and then I dawned on me, it's like we actually haven't seen a variant that's still like classic Loki or the Loki we know from the MCU. So what if
So yeah, it's very possible that the one they're going to fight is probably going to be like a very evil, super like sadistic version of Loki
the Odin son,
in the
yeah,
castle.
an actual Loki that managed to take over Asgard or managed to actually take over the TVA and is playing everybody. I know there's another theory running around that everybody in the TVA is a Loki variant.
I don't like that one.
I think
That's
that's
too
too
unreal.
far fetched. That's too pushed.
I heard another theory that was kind of cool in regards to this series could be the jumping off point for Kang.
Yeah.
So Kang could be one of the office workers who gets his hands on a temp pad after being freed from the TVA, and then
Ah.
in some sort of bid for revenge. Because like I tried to do some research on Kang, and
Yeah.
I watched a couple of videos on Kang, and he's so complicated. Like if you boil him down, he's basically like a classic 60s villain where he doesn't really have any motivation. He's just
Yeah.
like kind of evil for the sake of being evil. It's not like Doom or anything like that. Like
Yeah,
he's just evil and he messes with time. That's basically what he is.
yeah,
But like if you start getting into his history, it's so confusing because then there's Ramatut, then there's Immortus, then there's the fact that Kang, every time Kang goes back into another past, he creates another alternate reality where there's another Kang living in there.
yeah.
Then it gets to the point where there was the Council of Kangs. Then Marvel tried to get rid of every Kang out there ever so that you were left with Iron Lad, Immortus, and Kang. It's
And
so
that's
weird.
where the Terminatrix comes in as well. And she's in the series. What's her name?
Oh,
Slayer.
Renslayer.
Yeah,
Renslayer.
yeah. She becomes the Terminatrix. She even disguises herself as a Kang at one point, or pretends to be a
Yeah, no,
Kang.
like they were really doing drugs when they made these comics. They were
Dude,
really doing drugs.
these things are on other levels, like on legit on other levels.
Like that's the thing about being like a modern comic book creator nowadays is that you don't have that excuse anymore. Like your villains have to have motivations and stuff. They can't just be like evil and do crazy stuff.
Exactly, just for the fact of I'm evil. They can't just be mustache twirlers anymore.
Although, I do like a good mustache twirling villain.
Yeah, and
Speaking of which, though, since we still on Marvel for a little bit, I mean, unless you have any other thoughts on Loki episode 5
no, no,
that
no.
you want to share.
I thought it was a good episode, and it opened up a lot of. I'm just curious to see. It's like I've stopped expecting. I think I went into the Loki series expecting more, and in the first few episodes, I didn't allow myself just to enjoy it for what it was. I was hoping it was going to be like, a mystery inside of a mystery inside of a riddle, and everything is a twist, and everything is unclear, and it becomes unraveled. You know something is wrong, but you just want to see how that unfolds. I thought it was going to be one of those shows because Loki is the god of mischief, the god of um, misdirection, and I was hoping there'd be much more misdirection. But now that I'm just enjoying it for what it is, it's basically a massive Easter egg hunt in a way.
Yeah, the thing is, when the first episode jumps off, that's the kind of air that it gives you.
Yeah,
Like because the whole time that first episode is happening, it's just constantly asking questions. And I think the thing is as fans, because especially when you know comic books,
yeah,
like the stuff, the directions that you see they can take it, it's crazy. But I guess when you're like a showrunner and a scriptwriter, you can't include all of that stuff because it won't fit type of thing.
yeah.
Like the show will be too like, muddled and convoluted, I guess.
Exactly, and it
Because
also
that's what
needs.
happened with WandaVision.
Yeah, it needs to become simplified for your audience as well. I really enjoyed Wonder Vision. I was hoping it would be more like Wonder Vision, but each show was its own. Like I had a buddy who recently watched Black Widow,
Yeah.
and he said he didn't enjoy it, and I was kind of like, why not? Like it's its own genre, it's spy genre. He's like, oh, they don't feel MCU enough for me, and I'm like, but why did it have to? It happens in the MCU universe. It has its own genre. They literally play a James Bond movie, or she watches a James Bond movie in that movie. So it's telling you what kind of um, pacing and sort of action. And I thought it was a cool movie. I looked at it more as like a family dynamic. The oddball family coming together, and they had a really good. The actors really had good chemistry together.
So that is our Loki recap, guys. We're now talking about Black Widow. No, but I do want to talk about Black Widow for a second. I do want to talk about Black
Yeah,
Widow. Yeah, no, well, the thing is, this it's like it's 50-50. I just did a review, so I just watched it, caught it, did a review,
yeah,
and I will say this. For me, there's plenty of MCU stuff in there, so it does feel like an MCU movie
yeah.
to me. And the cast is good. I just think the biggest thing is bringing it down. And we're gonna talk spoilers right now. So I mean, Clyde mentioned some, but he didn't talk any major plot points. But now we're gonna get into like deep, deep spoilers.
Yeah, yeah.
So for anybody that hasn't watched it, time codes, you can skip ahead. I should probably start saying that at the beginning.
They should just know if they're listening to this, it'll probably be spoilers. As much as we try not to, I don't have self discipline.
So yeah, the thing is with Black Widow. So the cast, I love the cast a lot, but those accents were all over the place. Like I've met like three Russian people in my life, and I swear those actors were American and Russian sentence to sentence. Like Ray Winstone in the movie, the supervillain at the end, he
Yeah.
turns Italian at some stage. I was like, these accents are hard.
He even looked a bit Italian actually more than Russian, if you think about it. And I don't want to be racist or anything like that, but yo, true story.
I'm like he literally does like an Italian thing when he's giving his monologue to like Black Widow, and it's like you see what she did to my. It's like
Yeah,
where the hell did this come from? But like I said, the action was awesome. I loved a lot of the action, and the cast was saving it. I just
yeah,
think there was some pacing issues for me. Like the way they broke up the scenes for me was a little bit weird because you go to Black Widow escaping to like Florence Pugh and her thing, whereas I would have liked to spend a bit more time with Black Widow in the beginning.
for Natasha,
But
yeah.
that's yeah, that stuff I kind of got over quick. The two biggest things for me, and I know this has been a thing that's been on the internet for a long time, since the movie came out. 2 days is long time in internet time. Internet
Yeah,
time just passes like that. But the plot, while the plot I understood what they were going for, I think in some places it lacked a bit of execution, and the villains were nothing.
yeah.
Like the villains were just nothing.
Uh,
Like they had no personality. Like Ray Winstone, as much as he was trying to be an Italian Russian, it just didn't work for me.
the problem
And
with
he
doing
like comes on screen for like 2 seconds. He comes on screen for like 2 seconds. He cackles and boo ha 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 ha's, and then he dies.
yeah.
And I was just like that's it. And then Taskmaster was just a Terminator ripoff. And I feel sorry for the Taskmaster fans. Ooh, the Taskmaster fans must be hot. Ooh, they
Yeah.
must be angry.
Yeah, look, we're not even going to talk about the gender swapping, which I don't mind at all.
Nah, that's not the problem.
But yeah, I would have gone, yeah, closer to like, because Taskmaster's powers is almost based on eidetic memory in your comic
Yeah.
books, you know. Um, anything he's got that anything he sees he can replicate to duplicate perfectly. Um, So it's almost like a mutant power. So in this world, if it doesn't happen, maybe it could be a chip, maybe it could be something, maybe the character could even be gender swapped. But the tech, I know the tech pushes it a bit. And being that
Not
robotic,
even just it's
no character, no personality, no banter. It was just a blank slate. Um, I think the other my major problem with the Black Widow movie is that there was absolutely no stakes. That there was no stakes in the movie. We know that is not Natasha's time, and she was the only character I cared about. If her sister died or her what was the character's name? But yeah, her sister. If her sister died, if the Red Guardian died,
Yelena.
sorry,
Yelena.
Elena.
Yelena. I
If
think that's
Elena
her.
died, if the Red
Yeah.
Guardian died, if any of those characters that she had a bond with died, I to be honest, as much as I like those characters, I wouldn't have cared. I would have just been
Mm.
another trauma that she carries with her, and then she goes back to the Avengers and she carries on, and then she sacrifices herself, um, for the Soul Stone. So there wasn't stakes. So I just had to watch it as an action movie and for the dynamics between her and hoping that Elena gets set up as being the new Black Widow, which it seems like big spoiler post credits. I don't know if you want to get to that.
Yeah, well, yeah. You can get into that.
Yeah, so in the post credits, obviously we see that Val, Someone on the internet did this thing. If you take the TVA logo and you flip it upside down,
Yeah,
it spells Val.
yeah. Okay, okay. Relax, relax. You,
but yeah,
oh, okay.
but yeah. So
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Val is doing one of two things. Um, they're doing the non-sanctioned version of the Avengers. So it's either going to be the Thunderbolts, which I think because Thunderbolt Ross was heavily featured in this. So she's either setting up the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts.
Mm, mm. I think the biggest, also the other thing with this movie, besides like Taskmaster, because like I know Taskmaster to be braggadocious, I know him to be like a little bit goofy,
Yeah,
and I know he can be like super evil or he can be like a super anti-hero.
yeah,
Like he kind of flip-flops between those two lines, which is really interesting. It's not like Deadpool, where Deadpool rides the line between anti-hero and hero.
yeah,
Like Taskmaster, he rides it between anti-hero and villain.
yeah,
Whereas if he wants something and you're in the way, he'll take you out. But if you're not a goal, he'll like leave you alone,
yeah,
type of thing. So I know that that's also a huge disappointment to like Taskmaster fans and me personally, who knows the character. But I think the other thing is that people have been saying this for years, and I totally agree. After Winter Soldier, Widow should have gotten a movie.
yeah,
Like she should have definitely gotten like a solo movie.
yeah,
And the other thing is that I know a lot of people compare this to Winter Soldier, but the thing is that with Winter Soldier, I think it introduced a lot of the characters that were going to be the plot twists a lot earlier. So I think if we got to see more of Ray Winstone in the beginning and learn who he was in the beginning of
yeah,
that movie, if we got to see more of that, then I think when we meet him at the end of the movie, we would have had like a bigger connection. Because I mean, like the Red Room was more of a villain to me than Ray Winstone. Actually, like the actual facility itself.
yeah,
So I feel like maybe if they ended the movie with Black Widow taking out the facility, and then Florence Pugh has to deal with in like a subsequent sequel, Florence Pugh has to deal with Ray Winstone's character Dreykov in another movie.
yeah,
I felt like maybe that would have been better. Like maybe she's seeing that they're starting the Red Room all over again, and she's like, "No, my sister's not here, so I gotta take care of this," and so on and so forth.
yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, exactly. Like just knocking it out. It's like they're just cutting that whole and now all the widows are free as well, and they just blocked out the massive part of it's a massive retcon actually, it kind of feels like it. I
Yeah,
think that's why we kind of feel cheated
yeah,
by the movie. Um and it's like and what confused me is that if Natasha had such a cathartic moment or something so cathartic happen just before Civil War, was it her motivation to go and hunt Cap down and tell him, yo, let's do something? Let's go free our friends and put a team together and fix this nonsense we call? Or because she's like because later on in the Avengers stuff, she's like, "You guys are the only family I know. I've got this family." But in this movie, which is a prequel, she's like saying, "I just realized I have two families." It's like it doesn't make sense. There's massive
yeah.
holes.
Yeah. The writing was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, that's what I'm saying is I feel like I definitely feel like I'm not the biggest fan of Black Widow, honestly, comic book wise or movie wise.
yeah.
Like she's kind of just there for me, but I felt like she had enough skin in the game, or she had like it's like she's enough of a character that she should have gotten the three movies. Especially if Ant-Man can get three movies. I feel like Black Widow should have gotten three
But I think
movies.
I think they just waited too long. They missed their turn.
Yeah.
If they were to do this movie before the events of Civil War, if it fell chronologically in the timeline, we probably would have enjoyed this movie
Mm.
more.
I definitely think so. I definitely think so. Cause this it feels like it's just filling a spot. Like that's what it
Yeah,
does. That's what it is.
I was
Like
just,
it does it well. Like again, I love the cast and the action is really cool and everything.
but I
And
also
David
didn't
Arbor
feel.
was also really cool.
But did you? I don't feel it was a good enough goodbye for Scarlett Johansson from
No,
the MCU as
no.
well. You know, she deserved a
Yeah.
she deserved a big. I'm sure she, yes, she got a farewell, but if this was gonna be a movie, showcasing her reign, showcasing her importance, like they didn't even put her and Clint together in this movie.
Yeah, that was another
I
thing.
would have loved to
And like
see
also
more of that.
also if we get to that post also if we get to that post credit scene, what does Val think is going to happen? Like does Val think that like they're just setting her up to be the next Black Widow in the Avengers where she just goes up to Clint and Clint's gonna be like, yeah, me and your sister were cool.
Yeah,
Like she sacrificed herself
but
kind of story.
but
So I
I'm sure she knows
but
that.
anyway,
She probably knows that.
yeah,
Because
probably.
because
Probably.
Clint was clearly part of Budapest, and Budapest was her turning point. Budapest
Yeah.
was her out. They explain it in this as Budapest was her way out, and that's why she had to blow up the what's his name's daughter.
And I think that's the other thing is that for the setup to be the daughter turns out to be Taskmaster, that was also just like, come on.
Yeah,
Like, because that was a deep moment. I was like, if they committed to that, because that's another thing this movie does is like, it talks about very dark things, but it doesn't like expand on them. So if they like stuck with that and they said, okay, she did, she has collateral damage and whatever and
yeah.
all of that stuff, it would have made it a much more deeper movie than if they just said, oh yeah, no, she survived and now she became the Taskmaster. I was just like, yeah, no, I don't like that.
And here's the thing:
But anyway, I still
they
think,
set up this massive antagonist that Black Widow could have had for herself. Natasha Romanoff could have had this massive antagonist. The Taskmaster could have been her specific villain, but they'll never come and confront each other or be face to face ever again. That
yeah, it was a missed opportunity. I still think it's a good movie. Like I don't think it's a bad movie, but I
no
just think
no
that there's a
yeah
lot of missed opportunity.
yeah. Look, the action was great. If you want to take it as part of a bigger whole, if it was a self-contained movie and you just watched it on its own, I think it would have been it's fine. It's not the strongest
Mm,
movie. I don't think it's the worst MCU movie. I think it's
nah,
just fine. And I think our problem as fans is we keep going in with our expectations way too high. We hold Marvel
yeah.
to a very, very high standard. And you're not always going to, they have different directors, different writers, different vision for various stories, and it must be a delicate rope to walk to intertwine all this existing universes already. With so many, the saying, too many cooks spoil the broth, or um,
Mm.
so let's see. I think they've done fair and they've done well so far. I don't want to be an apologist or for
You're getting Marvel checks.
yeah for Marvel, unless they want to hire artists.
Yeah,
um,
Marvel, watch this. But yeah, I think for me, I'll even say this: I enjoyed it way more than Captain Marvel. Like I felt like it was a better movie than Captain Marvel.
yeah.
So I still think that, and I don't even think it's because of like Black Widow herself, because she's just had she's just had more screen time
Yeah.
than Brie Larson. Captain Marvel, I just think that the thing is that they kind of just play the movie straight, which helps it a lot. They don't like. I mean, there's some of that, a little bit of pandering here and there, but they don't pander outright type
Well,
of thing like how
in Black
Captain
Widow
Marvel
now.
did. Yeah, in Black Widow,
That
like
I
there's
think, yeah.
pandering here and there, but they don't like pander outright
If it was
type of
if
thing.
it was lesser actors doing those same roles, the writing wouldn't have worked.
Yeah,
I think the cost of that movie was actually, except for the villain, the cast of that movie was phenomenal, and I
yeah,
think that's what the saving grace was. Like when
yeah,
the
definitely.
the the topsy turvy, the non-family came together, when the Red Guardian and the mom character and the sisters are sitting together. they're sitting there all as spies, knowing who they are, knowing their roles in this bigger thing, but they kind of just fall into this dynamic that feel like a family. They've got this subtle bickering and the over the top laughing and the sideways stares. What's the other actress's name? From the Mummy, Weiss,
Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weiss.
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, even her, she was pretty good in there as well.
Yeah, except also that's another thing that I think was a little bit strange to me. It didn't bother me too much, but like I ended up asking the question, why does she help them? Like they have that whole thing about the red room is all she knows, and she alerted the people to the red room, and
Yeah,
I
I
was just
think
like,
I
but then she
think
like,
I think there was supposed to be a bigger setup, or the movie was supposed to be longer, and it got cut. Like
yeah, I think so.
they're expecting you as a viewer just to believe that her familial bond, her feeling like their mother, was enough to turn her. But I think she actually, I thought when I initially saw it, or my first instinct was that her intention would have been to take over the Red Room, to become the leader. But she was
Mm,
under Draco's, that was Draco, eh? That's his name.
yeah, Dreykov.
Dreykov. She was under
Yeah,
Dreykov's control, so the limitations to what she could do until she could break free of that, and then she could take charge or repossess the. Or maybe that comes up in the future. Who knows?
yeah. I mean, I think we're thinking way harder about this than they did. Honestly, I think
Yeah,
this was just an interquel, and it was a good interquel, but like an interquel nonetheless.
yeah. It was just.
And
It
I
was
mean,
a.
they can still save Taskmaster, but like, yo, like I understand people who are Taskmaster fans going, what happened to like the Godfather? What happened to my boy?
Yeah, yeah. When they nerf characters like that, like if you were to take what is her name, Alexia, Alexandria.
From
It's the
Alexandria from
no, the character of Taskmaster. I think that was the girl's name.
oh yeah.
If you take the armor
Well, I,
and if you take the tech away, what does that leave? You know,
yeah, yeah.
Taskmaster could
No, I
kind of
didn't
like
like that.
pick up anything, any weapon. You could use your own weapon against you. Like if you don't have the without the tech, you know.
She's
Yeah,
just
man.
another like Black Widow person. She's just another like Widow person who's just like generic Widow number 5 or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. But overall, for action movies, spy drama, people coming together to help each other, dealing with their shit, um, finding their way and solving a bigger problem. It was fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I don't give it a 3 out of 5, 2.5 out of 5.
yeah. I go 2.5 out of 5 as well. I think it was all right. Switching gears a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So now there's something that's been happening in DC which is actually pretty interesting as well. Superman and Lois has been going pretty strong. It's been getting a pretty good reception and everything. I don't know if you managed to catch all the 11 episodes that are out now. Episode 12, as far as I know, is not out yet.
The 11th episode, this is probably going to be a spoiler, is where he gets taken to the other fortress, the desert for.
Yeah,
Okay, yes, I did
yeah.
watch. I did watch episode 11.
Okay, anybody that hasn't watched Superman and Lois at this point, like we're 11 episodes in, so we are talking spoilers. Again, time codes, but we're talking spoilers. um, so I want to say that this is the best Superman thing I've ever seen since the animated series. Like
I,
I haven't watched anything Superman
I'm
related
gonna
for me.
disagree. I'm gonna disagree there because I'm a
Okay.
nostalgia. What's it? Dean Kane for live action. Dean Kane Superman. Lois and Clark.
I didn't catch Dean Kane. I didn't catch Dean Kane.
Lois and Clark. That was my show back in the day. That was my show.
Oh,
I
okay.
can barely remember, but this was interesting. It's an interesting take, and it's a brand new take. It's sort of what the CW did initially with Smallville. They told a classic Superman
Mm,
story in a very different perspective or narrative. And what I like about this show is that they get the wholesomeness of the Kents,
Mm,
uh, even though things are quite different. First of all, the fact that he
mm,
has two sons.
yeah.
They just and I'm a little bit bummed that they didn't name one of them Connor,
Uh,
but but I get why the two sons are named what they. One is obviously John, and the other one is Jordan. So Jonathan
mm,
and Jordan. John after his Earth dad, and Jordan after Jor-El, his Sky dad.
yeah. And I guess it was also a fun thing that like the one named Jor-El or named after Jor-El gets like the powers. But I'm of the view that Jonathan Kent should get some superpowers. Because
I
he's practically like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. That's what I was hoping for. I was actually thinking that his powers are going to take longer to manifest, but at some point his powers would manifest.
I think he's gonna get them. I think he's gonna get them. The reason why is because if you peep episode one, when he's playing with the football, he throws the football right through that rope.
Yeah, but I think
So
they threw that to divert you, to throw you off. He's just
nah, but
they,
I mean,
they were just trying to say
there's
like
no way, bro.
he's talented. Even his parents were like in tackles and being a fullback and stuff like that, like a quarterback and stuff. He can take the knocks, and they're like, yeah, but that could just be natural gifts, and it turns out it's just natural gifts.
Maybe I don't know. I think maybe season two he's gonna get powers.
I
I
would
can
be
see it happening.
I would be nuts if they did like a Brightburn thing. You've got Superboy and Brightburn. They make
Ah, that would be interesting to me. That would be very interesting to me.
like one of
But
the
yeah,
brothers.
I still think he should get powers. I still think he should get powers. Like I think they can squeeze it in because
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me that Jordan would have all the powers and Jonathan would just be normal. Like the like genetics doesn't work like that because he's also half Kryptonian if
yeah.
that's the case.
I think
But I mean, anyway, that's just my fan theories.
I think Tom King wrote a set of comic books, and those are probably like my favorite Superman and DC run. And I really enjoyed Super Sons. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah, I did some of Super Sons.
checked
Yeah,
out that Damien
Yeah,
and
Damien
John
and
L.
Jonathan, right?
and John. Yeah.
Yeah.
So John from those comics, like he just became canon, you know, after
Oh,
after Rebirth. I think it was New 52 and then Rebirth. Then John became canon because Superboy always used to be Connor, always used to be the clone. And so now they've got Superman's.
I like Connor Kent though a lot. I really do like Connor
I,
Kent. I
I
think he's like one of the
that was
better
part of the
super
reasons
better
I
Superman
that was
characters.
part of the reason I used to read Teen Titans, because I used to like the classic one, the one with the little round
Yeah,
glasses and the fader and the big gloves,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
leather jacket. Um,
Yeah, I actually, and also the thing that they did with Superboy, especially that character Connor Kent. What I loved about him is they made him strong, but he was not too strong.
yeah,
Like there was like a thing where he couldn't do certain things that Superman could do, so he'd have to think his way around like a
yes,
situation
they
because he
actually,
used telekinesis.
yeah, tactile kinesis. It was called
Yeah. Oh, tactile
It was
kinesis.
called
Yeah.
tactile kinesis. Sometimes he could touch objects and break them using like this force field. And actually that whole concept, the tactile kinesis concept, actually added to the whole Superman mythos. They
Mm,
explain, if Superman flies into a plane, right, and he was an
yeah.
immovable force, if you were to stop that plane, you wouldn't be able to stop the plane. The plane would just crash through him because of its inertia.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they explain that
Yeah.
Superman actually has tactile kinesis, where he allows like a net, like a force field, that projects into objects. So Connor's powers was like a diversion, perversion of that power. Um,
Oh, so I guess that's why he can like fly through like buildings and not damage anything or anybody
exactly, or
type of
loft
thing.
buildings, or even in one in I think it's in the what's the books called? Not the Frank Miller, the quietly Superman books. All Star Superman.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
That's
Yeah.
how he was able to pull a planet or to move a planet.
Oh,
You couldn't just push a planet. You have to project something. So they explain that, and that's the reason why his actual clothes don't break, and
ah,
his cape. But I can get into a lot of pseudoscience with Superman.
I mean, I think,
I read way too much Superman. Like we were talking the last time. Not so much a Marvel
yeah.
kick, but DC I go deep.
Nah, man, that's interesting because the thing is, I growing up, like I did like Superman for a time, but then I stopped liking Superman because I kept reading like stories with him, and like one of my issues was is that for me, it was not even like a personality thing. I know people like to use that because they go like, "Well, Batman's the cool one," when actually he's not. I
Yeah,
mean, you can say that he is, but if you really break it down, like they're both almost the same level of Boy Scout,
yeah,
like almost. It's just that Batman is willing to keep more secrets, if that's like the major difference. But like in terms of them being Boy Scout ish,
yeah.
they're more or less on par.
So
And I mean, if you look at Captain
I'll
America
tell
and
you what
Spider
the
Man,
I'll tell you what the difference between
oh, go ahead.
Superman, the difference between Superman and Batman for me, as simply put, is that because of his roots and because of his family dynamic and because of his wholesome nature, this is for Clark now for Superman, um, and how he was brought out. He's literally a small town kid with the powers of a god. So
Mm,
Superman is the most um, is what humans want to be. Why can't I get to this terminology I want to use? He's the he's more than a man with the most humanity. Because he's a god, he has to have even more humanity than normal people so that he does. And they kind of touch on this kind of idea. Whereas Batman's the opposite. Batman had to sacrifice his humanity in order to push his body to the peak of what a human being can be. So they actually sit on opposite sides. Batman has to sacrifice what makes him or what makes you a person, a human, in order to achieve the greatness, to be the ultimate detective, the ultimate mind. He has to forego relationships and day to day. Superman literally has to ground himself and be more human in order to fit in better. He carries his humanity more on his sleeve because he literally has the power to obliterate the world if he wanted to.
yeah, no, I mean I get that, but I'm just saying in terms of like intentions and all of that stuff. Like a lot of people when they talk about they don't like Superman, like a lot of people cite he's too perfect or whatever the case is. I never felt that. The thing that
Yeah,
got to me about Superman was just like one thing I loved about the animated series and what I love about Superman and Lois is that like he's powerful, but he can't be everywhere.
yeah.
Like it's a thing of he can't be everywhere, he can't do everything, he can't solve everything. So they've really highlighted that in this show. Because when you get to the comic books, the stuff that he does in the comic books, I'm like, your villains do not match the
Yeah.
power that you have. Like, Lex Luthor is not a problem. I'm sorry, Lex Luthor fans. I know you want to believe that he is, but if you really think about it, what Superman is capable of versus what Lex Luthor is capable of, like, Superman easily can neutralize kryptonite with a lead suit. Like he can easily just wear like a lead suit and it would be the end of the story of the kryptonite. Like you would not have any kryptonite.
Yeah.
And even if we are to bring in like Metallo who can shoot kryptonite, Superman can fly into space and laser him from space. That's how much like power he has in the comic books. Because I think even in
Well,
one comic book, he
Yeah,
like broke the like sound barrier in space, and he was able to hear like Jimmy Olsen's like phone call thing. And
yeah.
I was like, if you can hear from space where there's no air, then what are we talking about here? So I
It,
like it when
yeah,
he's
it goes
carried
even
along. Like there's
further
some
than
Jim
that.
Lee
Like
comics.
Superman's become
Oh, sorry,
immune.
go ahead.
Superman's become immune to kryptonite as well in the comic books at certain points.
That's what I'm saying is that like for me, if DC put a cap on what Superman could do, I mean for a lot of their characters, even the Flash has this problem where I'm just like, look, Mirror Master is not the issue when you can move at like 30 times the speed of light.
Yeah.
Like didn't Wally West like outrun death or something like that, or like he outran the Speed Force, or
The
like
Black Racer.
yeah,
The he outran
like
the
for
Black
me that
Racers like their version of Death. Death is also a speedster type
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So it's just
Wally
like for
West,
me when they make the feet.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, go
No, no,
ahead.
no.
Sorry,
Wally
didn't
West
cut
is a
you off.
speed force. He literally outran his reality to merge with a reality where he doesn't exist. Where 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 it was black. There was literally two Wally West at one point because he caught up with the black Wally West, and they like, and people didn't remember him, didn't even know he ran so fast. He ran into a reality he didn't belong in anymore.
But like that's what I'm saying is that it's just a like I know Marvel is crazy, but Marvel at least they seem to, from what I understand, they seem to like base their world matches their characters.
Yeah,
Like Captain America's villains match him. Like Captain America's fighting Red Skull, he's fighting Baron Zemo. Iron Man is fighting the War Ironmonger or sometimes the Mandarin, who are
yeah,
also tech. Spider Man is fighting the Rhino and he's fighting the Green Goblin. These are like people that match him.
yeah.
Whereas, like, if I
But
get to somebody like Superman, like when I get to somebody like Superman, like the Parasite, I'm never scared of the Parasite. Like I played a Superman game once, and I think the boss was Metallo. Yeah, the boss was Metallo. And literally to beat the fight, all I did was just fly around and laser him from a distance
yeah,
because you couldn't go up and punch him.
but it's
So
like,
I think the character is fine. Like the
but
character is fine. Like I think his humanity is great. I think the fact that he's got all of that power and he still has to balance it is great. But I just think at some point when it's too much, you just get into like that whole thing of why is this taking so long? Why don't you just freeze him? Why don't you just do this and this and that and that? But when we get a Superman and Lois, they show that his strength is great, but there's a point. And I
yeah.
guess that's budgetary reasons because, if we go to Zack Snyder's Superman will destroy every villain in Superman and Lois, no problem.
Yeah, I like,
but
but I like shows or like you mentioned, like or this specific show, um, twofold. One, when they have conflict, even with their kid, even with Jor-El, who's emo and has these issues with depression and these different mental illnesses and things like that. He They overcome it in one episode. They'll have conflict and the conflict won't necessarily drag on. Sometimes they'll have fights where the parents are not always right. Sometimes they have fights where the kids are right. Sometimes they have fights where they have to compromise. They speak more realistic, even though it's set in the super world. They have realistic ways of problem solving. And I find that quite
yeah,
refreshing. And secondly, like you were mentioning, um, Superman's biggest issue in this is that not all problems can be solved with your fist. So, or your
yeah,
super strength or your ice breath. It's one of his big issues is how does he save the world, which is constantly under attack and needs someone to help out and spend time with his family. He literally has to switch his brain
yeah.
off and not listen. And those are the type of issues I always imagined and why I found Superman endearing. That, oh, I've got my day job and I want to go on a date, but I can't because I need to save the world from this thing. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? If I leave it up to the police, um, I've kind of made them pathetic or useless because I'm always there. So they don't, they don't stand up to the task.
And I think another thing that they've done really well. So, like that, yeah, like you're saying with all of that stuff, there's also this thing of like in this particular series, Superman is strong. Superman has all his powers, but he's not like ridiculously so. Like there's still people who can affect him in like certain ways. Like for example, when they introduced the plot point of they're building the super army, right?
Yeah,
Like he has a fight with one of them, and like this guy is stronger than Superman to the point where Superman has to actually start using his other skills, and like he has to use creative ways to take this guy out, which is something that I like a lot. And then oh, what's this? And then even then you get to that like finale where all those super people are flying at him, and then you're just like, that's the first time I felt scared for Superman. I was just like, that's the first time in a long time where I was like, oh, I do not know how Superman is gonna do this.
so imagine that, imagine that, imagine like in your community or in your town, you are you're the best fighter, you're the best brawler. So you've grown up in a place where no one can beat you in a fight, and an MMA or UFC fighter shows up and whoops your ass. You would not be prepared for that fight because you've never had an equal, you've never had to put yourself to its limits. As again I mentioned
Yeah,
the Goku Vegeta um, dynamic. Vegeta's a soldier. He's trained. Um, he's tactical about what he does. So he never pushes his body to a limit where he needs to break. Goku is dumb enough to push his body to the limit where it constantly breaks and needs to be repaired and breaks and repaired. And that's why a character like Goku or Naruto will always be stronger than their rival. Yeah, because the dumber
yeah.
characters often seem to be that person. So with Superman, Superman is never challenged to a point where he needs to push himself to a new level. So as soon as someone shows up equal to him with just a little bit of tactic or who can outnumber him, it's done.
Mm. And another thing I love about this series is they make Lois useful. Like
Oh
this
yeah.
is some of the best writing I've seen for Lois in years, where she's not just a damsel in distress, or she's not just something that has to be saved or whatever. You kind of see her crack, like her, crackpot reporting, which is really dope. So
Yeah.
I do like how they utilized Lois in this entire series and everything. And even the twists, I have to give them that. Like some of the twists were legitimate.
With
Like
steel. With
uh,
steel.
yeah, yeah, that was the biggest one for me. I did not see that. I thought they were doing Black Lex Luthor. I did not see them doing
I I
I
also
did not
thought they
see
were
them
going to
doing
introduce Lex Luthor, and I think they were very smart with the way they did that because Lex also wears a tech suit in some variations in the future. And he also calls
yeah,
himself
and he's
Superman at one point.
with this show and how they use Lois and all of that stuff. I think Superman and Lois has, it's done a great job at,
Yeah,
like making Superman kind of relevant and cool again in the way people want Superman to be. Because I know the Zack Snyder movies kind of came along and they did what they did, which I mean, I'm not really a fan of some of the stuff that they did in there simply because, like, there's one panel, I mean, there's one frame or there's one shot that always infuriates me when it comes to like with the Man of Steel movie. It always infuriates me. When Zod throws like the truck that he throws the truck at Superman and Superman like floats over it. And I was just like, you just did that for a cool effect. Like people are dying in the background. Like
I
you could
think
have at least caught the truck or
Zack
something. So
Zack Snyder's perspective on Man of like let's not even get into Man of Steel. I think they tried to retcon it a bit, but Zack Snyder was too focused on the fact that Clark doesn't feel alone. He doesn't feel alienated. Clark Clark is his issue was not the fact that he's an alien and comes from another planet and like, oh, I don't fit in with these people. It's the fact that he has too much responsibility. That wanting to
mm,
be a person and his duties and having to this obligation the self-imposed obligation to have to save the world and save as much and be a part and do the right thing. You need to think of Clark Kent more like being a police officer or a paramedic or a fireman. When a fireman is sitting there just trying to be human, hanging out with his friends and stuff, and there's a fire, he's not going to be sitting and looking at the fire, oh, I'm not on duty. His first instinct is going to be an obligation to help because that's something I can help with. Clark thinks like that. It's, regardless of what I'm
Mm.
doing, that's what I need to do. And he focused too much, Zack Snyder focused too much on the fact that, like, I'm an alien, I don't fit in with mankind, I need to separate myself from them and figure out what I am. He had that very sulky Superman, and I was like, what's his name? The actor, great dude, makes a great looking
Yeah,
Superman.
Henry Cavill. Yeah,
Oh,
Henry
Henry
Cavill.
Cavill, yes, of course. I couldn't get his name. Henry Cavill looks great, has the physique, has the build, has that boyish charm in his face. He could come from a,
He could do it.
you know, he's good
He
and
could
he's
do it.
charismatic. Like you could tell in The Witcher, like if he's as a person. But in the Zack Snyder, especially the first Man of Steel, they didn't give him an opportunity to show that side of him. You know, and the Jesus imagery, like, yeah, Superman is here to be our hero, but no one, I'm floating in space, I'm doing the crucifix thing, sitting in the church and having Jesus in the background in the stained glass with the red cloak on. It's like, we get it. Superman is Jesus. We know Zack Snyder.
Was normal
And I just lost you for a second.
get like a very, very decent balance with who Clark Kent is and who Superman is, and they didn't make him too strong.
Yeah.
They made him strong enough that he's Superman. You recognize him as Superman, but like he doesn't like fly and solve everything. Because like let's those comic books, the stuff he does, it gets nuts. Because he punched like the god out of Lex Luthor at one stage, and I was like, how do you do that? But
Yeah.
anyway, sometimes you have to say comic book logic. Sometimes you just have to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because Batman's got stuff too. I like Batman more, but Batman's also got ridiculous stuff as well. So I
Well,
guess it's just what you're prepared to let
Batman
go.
fighting Darkseid is, ooh, ooh, it's a,
No, not even that. Not even that. Batman getting shot by the Omega beams and not dying, but getting transported into the past where they had to like collect him, and then he becomes an Omega bomb in the timeline. Like
he
that's pretty nuts.
he becomes barbarous. He leaves all these clues that actually builds up to the whole storyline of heavy metal.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I'm just saying, like, Batman does stuff too. I can't, but like for me, it's just I feel like Superman can solve a lot of issues and he doesn't, and it just feels like it's because the writers kind of have to stand him back. Like I
Yeah.
think there was one comic book that showed his powers really well in the sense that he kind of has to get moving to get going. And then, but like, recent comic books and also something that didn't help was when Death Battle did Goku versus Superman and they just list all these crazy things that Superman can do, and then you're just like, but then what's the point of like what villain in his gallery can actually take him out if he can
Act-
do all of those crazy things?
yeah.
But anyway,
But
I just think that DC. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. You're absolutely right. I still enjoy a good Superman. I've always enjoyed Superman. I think I always will. It's my boy.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's a bad character. Like, I think he's actually a very good character, and there's like some really good stories with him. Like, All Star Superman was really good.
Yeah. Oh, that's what
Superman
I.
versus the Elites.
Oh yeah. So Superman versus the Elites was that you're talking about the animated movie, right?
Yeah, also the comic book I thought was good.
But I watched the animated movie, and that animated movie came out around about the same time Man of Steel came out. Funny enough, and I thought that hokey
Yeah,
because the animated movie is a little bit hokey. But they do something in
Mm,
that movie that that's way more Superman than the Zack Snyder movie. Because remember,
yeah,
because remember, Superman snapped Zod's neck. Lest we forget,
yeah.
that is completely out of character.
Well, I mean, even if we to take it there, the fact that he like brings down buildings and throws Zod through buildings, and then all of a sudden this family is now the family that he's got to save. I was like, dude, there's like hundreds of people that have just died from
Yeah,
you and Zod clashing in the city, and you've actively thrown him through buildings. Like it's different if Zod is throwing you, but you throwing Zod into a building.
yeah. But anyway,
No, 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 no worries.
back to Superman and Lois.
Yeah,
They've got a really good take on the whole Superman mythos. Even the classic one where he shows up with his mom. I think that was the last episode where they like flashback to his early
yeah,
days. The only thing I
yeah.
still don't understand is the magic clock and glasses.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. That one was
in
I
what?
ca like the thing is
Yeah,
for me like if you say Perry White doesn't see him, okay, Perry White's not paying attention at all. But Lois should have figured it out like the second they hung out or went to dinner or something, and she interviewed him, and like
yeah,
right after that they like yeah she should have figured it out.
exactly. Unless, look, in the comic books they explain, or is it a book, a novel I read? They explain that when he goes to Clark mode and why he's also awkward and uncomfortable, he literally puts his muscles, he contorts his muscles in his body, even his eye muscles, into weird unnatural positions. So he actually forces his muscles into a slouch, into to hunching him and making him smaller. He unfocuses his eye muscles as well. So he literally does need glasses. He looks squint if he doesn't, and he has to uncreak all those things when he goes home to be like just normal clock. So
But that would like work only like twice on Lois Lane. Like Lois Lane is supposed to be this crack shot, Pulitzer Prize winning reporter, investigative journalist. I feel like she would have figured it out. Like
Doc,
that's always something
Dr.
to me
Fate
where I'm
gave
just
him
like,
magic glasses, okay? Dr. Fate gave him magic glasses.
all right. Speaking of magic and pseudoscience, I want to quickly talk Rick and Morty because that's also been dropping very
Yeah,
heavily recently. I don't know if you've watched everything of Rick and Morty right now.
I
They
have.
just released episode five.
Three.
Episode four. Sorry, they just released episode four. No, four dropped yesterday. Actually, like I think
Well,
somewhere there.
I must four. I watched was three the Captain Planet episode.
Yeah, three was the Captain Planet episode.
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't catch the new episode.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just caught it also, and I just hit a review on it. It's not like it's a major deep episode, but I mean, we don't have to talk about it in general. We can just talk about like how season five is kind of starting out and how it's going, and also how it's very different from season one, two, three, and four
Yeah,
because they do stuff with Rick in season five where I'm just like, I didn't know you could do that stuff with Rick. Like, if you check season one, like season five, episode one, they start highlighting like how lonely Rick is. And like in season one, two, three, and four, you kind of feel like Rick feels like he's above everything. Like they give you that sense that he's like a person in season
yeah.
one, two, three, and four. But at the same time, they're just like Rick himself is just like, I don't care about anything. I don't care about anyone. Here
And
you get
even
to see him care, and it's
and
really
even
weird.
when he cares about someone or does something for someone, um, they undo it at the end of the episode. You realize it was for selfish reasons.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, and that made sense to me. Yeah, you're right. But I think it's at from the end of season four that started happening when he cloned the bits.
yeah, yeah,
And then,
yeah,
like, he literally, I think it was in episode, was it one or two? And he literally tells himself, ah, shit, I'm a bad father. And it's like, Rick would never say
yeah,
that. You wouldn't do that.
yeah. Yeah.
But do you think, is it just me or does it feel like Dan Harmon is doing less with the episodes? Like he's less involved. That Justin Rowland, what's his name, Roiland, is more show running than Dan Harmon.
Maybe because I mean, as much as these episodes of Rick and Morty have been chaotic, they do seem like there's still moral conundrums or
Yeah.
and everything, but it also seems like there's a lot more. It's less cynical, I guess, in a sense, in some
Hmm.
senses, because I know Dan Harmon is like super cynical
Yeah,
with
so
a
it
lot of
seems
his
like the
stuff.
cynicism or that's just my take on it or what I felt. It feels like, yeah, like the cynicism is kind of like alleviated more for the madness, more for the twists and
Mm,
turns and the plots. Like, even if you look at the themes in the story, like there's these theoretical, philosophical, theoretical sort of ideologies or ideas that come across. Specifically, I think it's episode 3, with the
yeah.
doppelgangers or the, what do they call them? Not doppelgangers. Not
Oh,
duplicates.
episode 2, I think.
The
The
clones, but they're
well,
not called clones. Decoys, with the decoys.
decoys. Yeah,
So,
decoys.
so I was looking at like exponential, as Asimov's sort of theory of exponential growth and self-replicating and things like that. And it's like, where's the core? Where's the start? Are we following the right thing? And then even before that, with the Beths, it was that kind of story. Which one is the real Beth? Which one would you want to
Yeah,
be the real Beth? Does it change your dynamic with your daughter because they chose different lives? So it's more those kind of questions as opposed to like you said, being critical of life and like fuck society, fuck the world, fuck, like it, it,
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
less of that sort of mentality and more about like the madness of humanity. And even if you notice things like even Morty is becoming so much more of a stronger character.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Morty's
yeah.
doing badass stuff left, right, and center in the what's his name? The the merman thing
Hoovy. Oh yeah, Nimbus in the Mr. Nimbus
in the Mr.
episode
Numbers
where he
episode.
goes to war.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with
Mr.
the
Nimbus when he goes to war because he was trying to get wine for
exactly.
Jessica.
And then like the Captain Planet episode, with Planetina,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
suspiciously
yeah.
Marty was missing.
Mm.
So like
Wait. Who?
is it Marty? The heart.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Art.
The Hot Planeteer wasn't there. And if you look at the storyline, I think he was intentionally left out because the
Yeah,
the older Planeteers wanted to sell, Planetina.
yeah,
So they had no heart,
yeah.
they had no soul. So even if your environmental
Mm.
message and you have this sort of um, 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 ideology, without heart, it means nothing. It still leads to death and destruction.
Yeah. That's actually a really good catch because I'm actually planning to make like an analysis video to talk about like overactivism and all
Yeah,
of that stuff. Like when you're too active, it actually also leads to like destruction because I know a lot of people were like on Planetina's side, but like what that miner said before she sets them on fire
yeah,
is actually really true. Like some people they don't have a choice, like they have to work the job that they're working in order to feed their families. So if you're coming with your activism placard to shut everything down, you're not actually attacking the problem, you're attacking like a symptom. So
yeah.
that was also pretty clever of that episode.
It's
And
like
I know a
ideas
lot of
of,
people are
yes, you
looking at,
want to conserve life and you want to live a good life and things like that, and like become a vegan or something like that. People make it seem cut and dry, but some people can't afford vegan lifestyles. Some people can barely,
they can build.
it
Yeah,
becomes
go ahead.
hard. Like I can't even shop at Woolworths.
No lie. I'm still buying like that. You know that brown, unsliced bread. I'm
Yeah,
still buying that brown
you
unsliced
know,
bread, and I have to slice it myself.
you know, if I had a choice between Pick and Pay and ShopRite, I'd have to go to ShopRite.
That's what everything is like 3 rand cheaper, and that 3 rand, it counts for something
It
when you
counts
don't
for
have it.
something. So, like, yeah, so you're right. There is something about, over activism and things like that, and that um, some people, and I think that's the reason why, like, where we come from, that kind of mentality is different and not so
Mm,
strongly imposed, because some people are just not at the means to live those kind of lifestyles, to be an activist, to be an
yeah,
environmentalist. You just don't have the
yeah,
capacity.
because you're still just trying to be alive
You're
first.
just trying to be alive. You can't think about those things. The industrial revolution, like, kind of feeds your family. We still live in the time in the states where they had steel mills in every town, and that's what sustained the whole place.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I lived in a small town that was like sustained by like big petrol and oil and all of that stuff. So you can't be telling those people now, yeah, we gotta shut all of this down because we're trying to save the planet. I'm like, they're like, we won't have food.
Yeah,
That's just not.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean that like yeah, the Planetina episode was very I thought it was very well written. The other thing that was also interesting was people were saying is Morty like a hypocrite now because like he dumps Planetina because of the destruction she causes. But then it's just like, but you hang out with Rick.
yeah.
And like from season one up until now, you guys have destroyed planets, you've destroyed entire realities. like
But I don't think he dumped her for that reason. I think I'm gonna get into and I can't speak from other people's minds. This is just my interpretation. But I think it's that he held her to a higher standard. That that's
um
what he's looking for. He was looking for something that felt pure, that felt genuine. Even though she had these
mm,
puppeteers in the background pulling her strings, controlling when she comes out, when she's or like she literally didn't have freedom in a way. She was completely
mm,
under the control of what were they called, the planeteers or whatever, and she could only
yeah.
be available when they were there. And I think Morty had to sacrifice his innocence a long time ago to find someone who's that innocent, who's so pure, and then see them as soon as they gain their freedom, they automatically become corrupted. And I think that's what made it hard for him to
Yeah.
stay with her.
That's a good take. I did not see that. That's a wow. I gotta kudos. I gotta give you a hand for that
Thank
one.
you,
That's
thank you. Sometimes,
that's a
sometimes I
wow.
think bigger than punchy punchy. And I think you're right.
Ah,
Like Rick's cracks starting to show, and I wonder if that's going somewhere, or if that's accidental, or if that's just because someone else is kind of taking over the reins. Because Rick,
I oh
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Go
no, I
ahead.
was just
Sorry.
gonna say Rick's narcissism is what makes him Rick. Like even
Yeah.
the episode where him and Summer go on the end of the world parties,
Yeah.
and Rick kind of commits, and he can't let go of this one. It feels out of
Mm.
character
Yeah.
in a
Like it
way.
really did. Like
Yeah,
yeah, it really did. Like that's the thing. I was watching that like Rick got attached to somebody. Like Rick, Rick's barely attached to his family,
unless this is not
and he
our
got
Rick.
attached to somebody.
Unless this is not our Rick.
Do you think they would do that? They would do that. They would do that
I don't
if
know.
they do that. But
They
I think
set they set up the Council of Mortys and the Council of Ricks, and we haven't seen them in a minute.
and also that's another thing. People are like, when is evil Morty coming?
Yeah,
Like Morty with the eye patch.
yeah.
Because like it makes sense though. Like I understand Morty like totally losing his mind between his family and between Rick. It's like it's not like it's the most healthiest environment.
Yo, and that last scene, that was weird. Like, I'm having sex with my dad because the world's gonna end, having so much fun. I was like, whoa, whoa, guys, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. Like, and also in the recent episode of episode 5, they also do a lot, and it goes into those crazy directions as well. But
Yeah,
like, I think with the cracks in Rick's character, that's an interesting thing to me because would he get to a point where he would realize that he would stop doing the things that he would do, or he should stop doing the things that we do, or like was this is he going to just be like, well, this is who I kind of am now and I'm okay with that, so whatever,
this,
because that seems like to be his thing.
when's the last time you hear Rick say wubba lubba dub dub?
Yeah,
And it's like, what if Birdman says? It says it's like all this pain, but Rick seems to be bonding and spending more time with his family. Maybe he's not feeling that self-destructive pain anymore, but maybe that's what's going to make him weak and soft. I don't
mm,
know. Maybe they've got a plan. Maybe these things could just be a writing flaw, and someone else is writing the show, or someone else is a showrunner. But with this team, I don't know. Like you don't know what to think because most of the time when they do things, it's always intentional.
most of the time, yeah, most of the
So
time, most definitely.
so I actually really don't know what to think, but it does ping bells in my head. Also, like, I had this weird theory that Morty was a Rick,
Yeah,
that Morty is a young Rick, and when Rick grows up, Morty grows up, he actually becomes Rick, and then has to
that would be crazy.
he becomes
That would be
he becomes his
nuts.
own mother's father.
That would be
Because
nuts.
as time goes on, Morty is becoming more Rick-like,
Yeah,
more
definitely.
badass, more
Like blowing up that.
self-sustaining. He's got his backbone is
Yeah,
actually growing. He stands up for himself. Um, Morty started out like a Jerry, but he's in by season 5 he's more like a Rick.
yeah, I mean the fact that he goes to war like that Narnia thing, that was just,
Yeah,
I didn't understand that just kept going because
yeah.
it and it's not even his fault kind of, but like he blows up an entire castle just trying to get to this why.
But just think about it. Think about the law of that universe. Rick is as infamous throughout his universe. Everywhere you go, people know of Rick and fear Rick. That's a universe where they're always gonna fear Morty. So he's
Yeah.
building backstories like Rick has, stage by stage and step by step. In the Snake universe as well, like
Oh yeah.
you know,
That Snake universe with the timeline and everything. Oh
yeah,
my gosh. Like that's what's also crazy about this. Like they managed to do all of these things, but they still managed to make it all work together, which is
yeah.
the craziest part for me.
But I think
Like even more so like than Marvel or like the multiverse of madness. Like Rick and Morty has just managed to, because they go to crazy places with it. I mean, there was even like that episode in season 4 where Rick was the father of a planet or something, and
oh, oh,
geez.
oh, oh,
Also,
oh, him and Beth make. Oh yeah, he goes and then the planet tells him she's pregnant, and he builds a factory for
yeah,
all
I was just like, how?
the.
I was like, how did you do that, sir? And then he fights Zeus and he loses the fight to Zeus.
Yeah,
It's strange. They're
yeah,
also doing this thing where they're depowering him a lot, especially in season 5. Like Rick, because Rick by season 1 and season 2, there was nothing that he couldn't do, type
yeah,
of thing. Like he was able to do like a bunch of stuff, and whatever situation came up, he had like an answer for it. But now, like getting to a point where, like even sometimes he doesn't have an answer for it. Like even in season 5. especially like this latest episode. When you get to check it out, you see what I mean. Like he starts taking like a lot of responsibility for things, and he starts like kind of like apologizing at certain stages and all of that thing.
But you
Like
see,
even in the episode with the decoys,
yeah,
he
but
one
that
of the Ricks is like I'm sorry for being Rick or something. So it's just like
but that's what I'm
you wonder
that's
what's happening with all of
that's
that.
exactly what I'm worried about. Or what is it a writing mistake? Like he or is a new writer just not writing Rick properly? Or is he becoming a
Ah,
more or is he becoming a more is he actually becoming a more sympathetic character? Like is he actually um
I think it's option B. Oh, sorry. I think it's option B because I think because in season three, definitely there's like moments of with him where he's way more sympathetic. It's just that he doesn't voice it. Like
yeah,
the thing is, like Rick shows a lot of emotion, but he doesn't tell nobody. So like
yeah.
there was that particular episode where what's this where they go to that other planet, and at the end of the episode like Rick tries to like kill himself in in the last 5 minutes
Oh
of the
yeah.
episode. Like he's just sitting down and he's just like trying to shoot himself, but the thing is missing, and he's trying to do a bunch of things to himself, and then you like the episode just ends on a sad note. So maybe they're exploring that aspect of the character, I would hope. But I guess we just have to see where they take it.
You have
But
to wonder.
you can also look at it as a writing mistake, I think, if they don't nail it properly. Like it
Yeah.
definitely will be obvious.
Or maybe this all ties into the Council of Ricks, and this Rick, the sympathetic Rick, is not the Rick we know. Maybe this family, like there's been that theory the whole time that the story we're following, where at the Jerry episode where they send Jerry, I think it's in season two, or season three, they send Jerry to the Jerry daycare,
Yeah.
and they take the
Yeah.
wrong Jerry back, and your whole story was with the wrong Ricks. You've been following the wrong Ricks. It's like it's like you
That
don't
would
know which Rick and Morty. Even with this whole what do you call it? The clones episode now. I think it's episode two or episode three. Like
yeah.
they might have killed
No,
our
yeah, episode
they might have killed
yeah, they
our
might have yeah.
Rick and Morty. Or maybe the Council of Ricks has something to do with this because the whole place is ruled by a Morty, by evil Morty.
I can't wait for like they gotta bring Evil Morty back and they gotta finish that storyline, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with that. But yeah, it's been super nuts. Like they've had the episodes though themselves are like strong. Even if like Rick starts to feel inconsistent, I just think like the episodes themselves have been really good, especially episode one and the Planetina episode.
Yeah,
Like those episodes were really solid. So I'm excited to see where season five is going to end up. I think they only have 10 episodes, so they got seven more left to go. I
which
think
is
somewhere there.
which is exciting. Like, yeah, I enjoy Rick and Morty. Um, I try not to watch too much of it. I'm gonna be completely honest.
No, you can't. You can't
It,
watch that back to back.
yeah, it makes my
I it's a lot.
it makes my brain run to too many. Like you see how I dissect things, and sometimes like you can't figure everything out, and then you're like, and you sit there, and it makes me like, it makes me want to think too much.
No, no, I've had those moments also. I've had those moments where you're just like, but if okay.
Yeah, let's just
Oh man,
leave
and
it
with
for
that
a week.
being, oh sorry, go ahead,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
go for it. Yeah, let's leave the episode for a
Oh,
week.
anyway, I was saying,
Sorry, sorry.
yeah, all right, you go.
No, no, I'm done.
With
I'm done. I'm
episode
done.
four, you go. Oh man, that's the folly of running a podcast. But anyway, what I was saying, with that being said, though, I think that brings us to our artist spot for this episode. So do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You go first. I haven't spotted the artist yet, and that's my bad.
Oh, okay. My artist spot. You know him. You also did some work for him, and I've been rereading some of his work lately, and I've really been enjoying it. My artist spot for this week is going to be Bill Masuku. So anybody who doesn't know who Bill Masuku is, please go follow him on Instagram. I'll have links in the description of this video. He has two cool characters really going right now, which is, and he's also got a book because I'm
Two
trying
books.
to the miss yeah, two books. I'm trying to remember the name because I bought one.
Um,
Misfortunism, I think.
Something
Is it
like
the art
that.
of
Yes.
misfortunism? Yeah, somewhere there. You'll find out once you follow him. But yeah, links will be in the description and everybody can go check him out. Really good friend of mine as well. He's also giving me some free advice, but definitely I love his style and he's definitely an up and comer that everybody should pay attention to in my personal opinion.
That's a good one. I am big fan of Billy the Kid. Well, that's what I call him. He's not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
When I met him and his brother for the first time, they were like youngsters.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to shout out to Clayton Cakes. It's a homie I used to
Clayton
work.
Cakes.
Yeah, Clayton Brown is his
Okay.
name. I think his online name is
Okay.
Cakes. Clayton Cakes Brown.
Okay.
Check out his stuff. Really good designer, good artist. Someone I worked with for a long time. Doesn't have much out. Is quite modest about his art. But check him out. Give him a follow. Give him a like. He does dope. He does dope T-shirts and hoodies and things like that. So definitely check him out.
Oh, okay, so he's on IG.
He's on IG. Yeah.
All right, all right. I'll see if I can find him. And then if I'm struggling to find him, I'll just see if I can text him so I can get the handle. And yeah, so that is our show, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. To anybody who has listened and listened to us ramble about all of this geek nerddom goodness. It's been a lot of love chopping it up with you, Clyde. I'm looking forward to us chopping it up again for the next episode when we talk about the conclusion of the Loki series and a topic that I wanted us to reach today, but we were going over time. So I guess we can push it to next week. But with that being said, everybody, please hit that like, that share, that subscribe if you guys did enjoy listening and all of that good stuff. Please go follow Clyde Beach everywhere. It's very easy to find him on Twitter and on, oh my God, that looks so cool. but but you did that while we were talking. Wow, just wow. But anyway, but anyway, and with that being said, we will see you all next week. Thank you so
Yeet.
much for listening, guys, gals, my name pals. Peace.
Thanks, guys.